I've done a deal with the printers. Next week's paper has to be ready for printing by 10:30 tonight. Starting from now, we've got exactly 3 hours to write next week's news.
Hi, I'm Andree, podcaster, YouTuber, novelist, and your host for this series of Press Gang Deep Dives. This is an exceedingly good bottle episode, but the bottle is time. Deadline is a title with a particular meaning to Press Gang fans, as it would have shared its name with the TV movie. That didn't come to pass. Nonetheless, the episode is a start proper to the tone and feel of the show going forward. The elements are all coming together now. Julie wants the graphics layout arranged immediately, doubling down on the race against time. When I was news editor of a student paper, I found the graphics editor to be a devious skitter who used her powers to set the agenda of our stories above everyone, all our journalists and other editors. For some reason I can't think of, I'm not sympathetic to Julie's dilemma. I would imagine this episode's tone borrows form from Moffat's own university experience with a degree in media, where the cut-off time ever looms. In broadcast media courses, assessments are often practicals, live, a strictly regimented timetable with the stress put on getting it right first time and a dependency on getting all that preparation in place in the days and hours before. This is certainly the news team's baptism of fire. It's to Bob Spear's credit that we can experience the tension, especially as Moffat has 3 subplots taking us away from the newsroom. Given the time drama, it's not typical. My own work experience on a local newspaper, the County Down Spectator, assistant edited by star author and one of Northern Ireland's finest novelists, Colin Bateman, typically saw a lockdown in the evening before the weekly edition went to the printers. Nevertheless, Press Gang was an influence in my decision to pursue journalism and probably get involved in endeavours with time constraints like hackathons and 24-hour comics. Initially, it's Linda sending Kenny to talk to Mr. Sullivan.
It's the sewage.
The editor is showing her workaholic side in Deadline, even as she sets about escaping the newsroom. It's left to speculation whether she can't stand the heat or has organised as much as she can. I'll accept either explanation. Let me know in the comments what you think. Either way, Linda on the Move gives us a few delicious scenes between Swahala and Stringer that manage to be simultaneously awkward, uncomfortable, and uproariously funny. Unfortunately, Sullivan's Garden in 2024 is in a much worse state. The comically darker subplot involves Colin, what are the chances, Matthews, and Danny McCall as he tried to hoodwink a local celebrity into a supermarket opening photo shoot a day ahead of schedule. Paul Reynolds is delightfully silver-tongued here. This is a Colin we'll come to know as an amoral grifter armed with out-of-the-box thinking and canny machinations. Danny is partly just there in his function as photographer, partly swept up in Colin's mercurial flight path, and at times as a salesman's conscience, as Colin leads them both into racking up a number of criminal charges. Julie, have you the features graphics drawn up yet? I told you it had to be on my desk 9 o'clock in the morning 5 weeks ago. Okay, we have a week until this video airs. Get it to me then, or I'll firebomb your house. Special feature, Charlie Creed Miles. Charlie appeared in all 12 episodes of Series 1 as photographer Danny McCall. He chose not to stay in the role after. If I recall, he felt he was underutilised as a background character and wanted to take his acting chops elsewhere. In the 90s, he'd pop up as a guest actor in staples of familiar British television: Casualty, The Bill, Drop the Dead Donkey, London's Burning, and A Touch of Frost. Quite prolific he was too. Creed Miles' real want seemed to be for film, and initially this was in bit parts and smaller roles. As Press Gang's second season went to air, he'd play second boy in school in a shocking historical drama, Let 'Em Have It, led by Paul Reynolds and that Christopher Eccleston. And he didn't miss out on the BAFTA for Best Children's Drama, just waited until the 1995 release of the BBC's Loved Up, where he had a main role. His character there was also named Danny. He co-starred with Lena Headey and Ian Hart, and there were small appearances by Jason Isaacs and Danny Dyer. In 1997, he played Apprentice David in Luc Besson's The Fifth Element, and Gary Oldman's directorial debut, Nil by Mouth. Creed Miles took the lead in Brit crime flick Essex Boys in 2000. This was a sure past the entry point of playing with big names. Throughout that decade, he'd be cast alongside Sean Bean, Michael Caine, Sean Pertwee, then Idris Elba and others. He'd star alongside Andy Serkis in 2011 as Wild Bill in the film Wild Bill, a comedy drama directed by Dexter Fletcher. And he kept on with the TV work, popping up in Hustle and Skins, a series regular in the BBC HBO co-production 5 Days. In the era of new prestige TV, he'd find recurring roles in Peaky Blinders, Ripper Street, Silent Witness, and 2024 miniseries Criminal Record. Another Junior Gazette success story. 90s comedy fixture Jim Sweeney carries a part as local celebrity Tommy Anderson. Just the right measure of understated performance, sympathetic and frustrated. He rues the day he ever met Cut Me Young Throat Matthews. Helena McCarthy plays a character credited as Colin's aunt. Is she his aunt? He's not above using his actual aunt, but it also seems a bit too honest. Leave your conspiracy theories in the comments. Spike's social network locates our top reporter, but he's largely on the back burner this episode. The previous installment, One Easy Lesson, put Sarah Jackson at centre, but didn't quite establish her as the paper's head writer. Something that's remedied here as Moffat, Spears, producer Sandra Hasty place emphasis on the value of her as a resource. The task is delivered with some jarring because her date for the night, Gary Morris, played by Tristan McGuire, is badly dubbed with an appalling voice and barely in shot. This does make him instantly unlikable. It puts the burden on actress Kelda Holmes to carry the narrative, and she's a slam dunk. We get eager to please Sarah, stubborn Sarah, and hell hath no fury like a Sarah scorned. That, my favourite. Sarah is a character who inspired many people into journalism, and it all starts here. I'm not much of a fan of Julie, but in this one, her manipulation of Sarah and Gary is a tasty meal and a sweet dessert. Moffat's script is spot on as Lucy Benjamin talks Kelda through the steps of betrayal. You know, I think Linda would be proud. Now that Matt Kerr knows about the phone line, it's safe to add another point to our tally of phone tech as pivotal to the plot. Each of Deadline's stories and subplots travel through the newsroom on their journeys. They move in tandem with the main plot through cutaways, which is common with this show.
Spike, how am I supposed to do the horoscopes a week in advance, huh?
Astrologer Fraz and hopeful Tiddler carry a petty joke on sports forecasting. I'm almost convinced they've taken their variables updated to reach their projections. Moffat is good and economical explaining it, but the jokiness undercuts this a little. I'll go on a limb and suggest Tiddler is the brains of the operation. And we round off with a fun little reprise of watching Matt Kerr. The suave and savvy operator has already cracked their secret code. The new edition is out on the right side of the picket line for a day or two. And we get an enjoyable end credit sequence of Sarah phoning around all the girls that Gary cheats on. I hope you've enjoyed this little coverage of Press Gang episode 4. Please do go over to my Amazon site. I have books to sell like Occupied, which is the result of 10 years of experience and research and so much work, and it's incredibly funny. The pages will just turn. You can check out my supporters while you're there. John Robbins and his darkly funny little novella, Death to Everyone, which has some really good Irish humour and character building. Check out the visuals online of Arsalan Haider Ali at the Lightbinder on Instagram, who's constantly escorting his lenses over London. And go on Twitter or Facebook or whatever your feature for Farset Labs, a wonderful community hackerspace and makerspace in Belfast. I could really use some patrons on patreon.com/AndyLip. £1 a month, that's all. And you get access to 8 years of comics, prose, text, poetry, videos, 8 videos a month before they come to YouTube. But a like, comment, and subscribe on here will really do a big lot to help me get monetized. This channel is rolling out stuff twice a week. There's reviews on Always Sunny in Philadelphia, some really fun stuff on Star Wars Ahsoka, and I've been covering the Doctor Who series in 338 seconds an episode, which is also pretty funny. So yeah, do that. And I really like comments on stuff. So I'd be very grateful for that. And maybe go and share a link on a Facebook page or a Twitter post. Okay, thanks for joining me with this deep dive. I hope you've learned something and be back for some more.